Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Military Surplus Firearm Collecting. I'm Mike B, and today we're going to be talking about reloading for military surplus calibers or oddball calibers. Now this is something that's been brought up in the comments quite a bit so far in the series, and I was going to actually make a couple videos pertaining to this topic anyway, but I figure I might want to just address this sooner rather than later because of the amount of people that are saying, would you recommend reloading, or you should reload. I've been reloading for about 10 years now. And I haven't done it really a lot in the past couple years because my equipment is still literally in my mom's basement from when I lived at home. So I actually haven't. I'll probably make videos on actually reloading. This one's not going to be anything about like any technical data of reloading or anything like that, but maybe I can do that someday. Anyway, so my advice, based on, if you didn't watch my ammo availability series or video in the series, I think it's like the third video or fourth video, something like that. I kind of explain my thoughts on people getting right into the obscure calibers that aren't really readily available right away during their first couple years or whatever of collecting. And I would advise personally just to get something that's more common, like a 30-06, which is what we've got over here on the end, that you can go to Walmart or any sporting store in the United States. Basically, you're going to find it there, so you can become more familiar with it. You can still save your brass and stuff for reloading eventually, but I would go with something that you can actually just buy and just be able to enjoy the weapons and get into the collecting, see if you actually like it or not. And so the reasoning for that is because reloading is pretty complicated. Collecting military surplus firearms can be complicated if you really start getting into these things, like in depth. And I'm going to be also making some videos pretty shortly. I was going to make this one after those, about how to actually do research and why research is important when you're dealing with this stuff and how it can save you a ton of money. This is the same thing. If you stick to more normal quote unquote calibers, and I'm talking about the United States for those of you that are in other countries, I'm talking about more normal calibers that you can find, like I said, basically anywhere, and that's really common, and you don't have to reload for it because you can just go and get more. So with that, once you do get to that point, reloading is a lot of money to get started up. You gotta get the press. First you have to have the space to do it, which isn't that much, but the more the better actually, because then you can do more things, you can have more storage, you can be more organized. Something I'm not really good at. But anyway, so it does cost money. You have to learn an entirely new skill set. You have to do a ton of research, and it's quite dangerous if you make a big mistake. So that's why I would recommend commercial ammo and just store-bought ammo from a reputable company for military surplus collectors who are just starting out. So, for example, I'm just going to go through this. It is helpful though. So if you're getting to that point, I'll be making videos on that too. Maybe I'll make some actual reloading videos and kind of show you what I do, but that gets dicey with the legal stuff. But anyway, God, I'm just ADHD up the wazoo today. So right here, we've got a prime example of how reloading can actually save you money depending on how much you shoot in the long run. So this is 8x50 or 8x51 rimmed Lebel ammo for the 1886 Lebel rifles and the Berthier series. There was a French cartridge basically until after the Second World War, from 1893 until after the Second World War. These are very, very, very expensive. They're over $1 a round just for the standard stuff from Pretty Partisan. If you want to go actually hunting with it, it's even more expensive. So what I did is at the point where I actually got into this caliber and got my first 1886-93, I didn't, or what was it? Yeah, SG Ammo and everywhere else was sold out of this caliber because they only do like one run per year, which is another reason. If you're not really that far advanced and you don't have a lot of surplus guns already, it kind of sucks when you have a surplus gun that you can't fire. That's my opinion. I'm both a collector and a shooter. So anyway, I couldn't find ammo for this, so I went to a place where I get a lot of my reloading components. I'll just say it, I know I never give away your best fishing spot, but Buffalo Arms Company. They usually have this brass, and it's a little bit cheaper than actually getting the loaded ammo, but then you have to buy the primer and all that stuff. You have to buy the dies, you have to actually have the press and everything. And then the projectiles they have too, I forgot exactly, I think these are 328 diameter. They're pretty large, like an 8x56. They're 203 grain or 208 grain full metal jackets. Anyway, so reloading this, once I get the brass and I've used it several times, I'm actually only spending about 50 cents per round to reload this with the projectile powder and primer because I've already got the brass. So that's down from about $1.25. So it can save you money. This is a 7.62 by 51 NATO. I don't reload for this. I mean, I keep all this reloadable brass, which I'll make videos on when I do the reloading thing about Berdan Prime versus Boxer Prime. These are all, minus this one, these are all reloadable boxer primed brass. So I get the 7.62 by 51 NATO or 308, depending on what you're getting for commercial stuff. I don't really reload for this anymore. I did when it was scarce, but because it's so commercially available and it's everywhere, that's something that I don't reload for. Again, I keep the brass for someday if I do need to, but that's a relatively common caliber. This is a 6.5 by 52 Carcano round. I keep all that brass too and get the projectiles from the same place. This is a 7.65 by 53 Argentine, or Belgian Mausers use it too. This I also keep the brass for. 7.5 by 54 French, same thing. 8 by 56 rim. This is a Berdan primed surplus round. This brass is these are about as expensive as the 8 by 50 Lebel. So I do keep all the reloadable brass for this as well. 303 British. Same thing, that stuff's actually getting more expensive and a little bit harder to find. This is nice HXP surplus, so it's got a nice boxer primer. Brass is really good, and then you got 30-06. Now, I keep brass for all of these. I don't really reload them unless there's a huge shortage, which is where reloading is handy. Now, the thing is, if I want to shoot any Lebel chambered rifle, currently it's in stock, but if it isn't, I have to basically reload for it. I'm going to go broke, right? Not so much. Yeah, this is a mid-range one, mid-range. Also, another thing that I don't have here, because I couldn't find one, because all my shit's strewn out in the garage, and I do reload for 7.7 by 58 Japanese. Did manage to get some brass, but I also made a video a couple years ago on how I converted 30-06 brass into 7.7 by 58 Japanese brass, which is pretty cool. So reloading, you can do that kind of stuff too. You can convert brass into other cartridges, like making rounds for the Martini Henry or the Dutch Beaumont Vitali rifle. So reloading is pretty cool. However, it's very expensive, time consuming, and you need to make damn sure your load data is completely accurate and from a reputable source. A lot of people have their little homemade recipes, and that can get really dangerous. So that's why I recommend, basically, if you're just getting into it for I think the third time I've said it on this video, my recommendation would be get something that's chambered in 30-06 or 7.62 by 51 NATO. Get something more common that you don't have to search out the ammo for, spend a lot of money on, and then feel guilty because you're not reloading for it and you're going to end up going broke, or you could buy the reloading press. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that kind of conundrum. So that's why I just recommend do something simple at first. There's plenty of military surplus firearms that are chambered in common calibers, or wherever you're at in the world, if you can actually have access to these firearms. And say, for example, I don't know the laws and stuff, but say you're in Italy and 6.5 by 52 Carcano is readily available, but 30-06 is not really. I'd go with a Carcano rifle instead of a, say a model 1917 or an M1 Garand. Just because, like, it's more, you can go out and shoot it, you can get familiar with it, and then, bam, maybe once you kind of feel more comfortable in your actual collecting and your research capabilities, then maybe jump into a new skill set of reloading. So it took me about 10 years before I actually got into reloading. It was fun because I expanded out to a whole new kind of area of guns that I could fire, but also I knew a little bit more about them and the calibers and all that stuff and where to get components and all that, so it ended up evening out. I know this is kind of a weird scatterbrained video, but I guess it makes sense. I'm just thinking out loud inside my head. So anyway, yeah, I hope I addressed that. I do reload, and I eventually will be making videos on that. I just gotta get all that shit over here and actually build a bench and do all that happy horse shit. It's a lot of work, but anyway, we'll get there. Yeah, reloading's cool, but if you're a beginner, I would just tend to stick with some, use the KISS. Keep it simple, stupid, or keep it stupid simple. Some people say that. I don't know. Either way, keep it simple. And yeah, that's my little 2 cents. This video went on a hell of a lot longer than I thought it was gonna. Sorry for ranting, kind of the long form shit, but I need a lot of things in my head to get out. But anyway, if you like the work and you like this series and all that stuff, consider supporting the channel on Patreon. Link to that is in the description. It's $1 a month, $5 a month or more. It gets you into the Discord server. And that's pretty fun. I have a lot of fun on there. We have good conversations, and a lot of cool information is exchanged on there as well. So I learn stuff. Everybody else learns stuff. Everybody's a winner. But anyway, yeah, your funding helps support the channel, like doing helmet ballistic tests, getting more firearms, actually purchasing ammunition. Really helps out with that. Thanks to all my patrons, past and present. You guys are awesome. So, all right, if you can't do that, I just appreciate you watching, so know that. And let me know if you learned something or if you have any questions. I'll try to answer them. I'm not an expert. I'm just an average dude that likes military surplus firearms and equipment and kind of dabbles in other things like reloading ammo. So, Anyway, thank you for watching, everybody. I really do appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next episode of Military Surplus Firearm Collecting.